Hey, everybody, welcome to The Tortured Man, the Mancast, episode 47. And we're going to be talking about the NFL, the Super Bowl 58 pregame, and we're going to be talking about other things that are going on in the sporting world. And first off on that, congratulations to the Redskins for finally deciding what their coach is going to be on the Washington football team. Because I'm not going to use their name. I hate it. I think they're going to have to fix that too. But I've been a lifelong fan, and I'm glad Dan Snyder's gone, and I love this new ownership and what they're doing. They got the right GM. They took Dan Quinn. I can't say I was blown away by Dan Quinn, although I will say that he's got a good resume. He was coach of the Atlanta Falcons. He took them to a Super Bowl. Of course, they were winning by 28 points and lost. So there's that. But I'll blame almost entirely on his coaching staff and himself. But Dan Quinn is understands how to run a professional football team and knows how to get results. Otherwise, he would have never been in the Super Bowl to begin with. I love that he got Cliff Kingsbury to be his offensive coordinator, snatched him away from the Raiders, which I'm sure you're happy about. And they gave Bieniemy the boot. Word is that he's probably going to end up in Kansas City again next year, which just bring him in as disciplinarian on that offensive line and the wide receivers. You watch, and then you'll just go win another Super Bowl. I am happy that the Redskins have got this all straightened out finally. Ben Johnson, it was the one that it looked like everybody was saying was going to go there. But word is now, after he interviewed with them and the Falcons, and I believe San Diego, don't take that for sure, but I know the Falcons and the Redskins for sure. And it turns out Ben Johnson apparently is a horrible interview, and all these teams were like, no thanks. And then he backed out before, to make it look like it was his own decision. And said, I'm going to stick with the Detroit Lions. I don't want a head coaching job. And he did the same thing last year. And I'm thinking that this guy just interviews like shit. And people, after they interview him, go, we don't want this guy.
Well, same thing with Bieniemy. But
yeah, it's just weird, right? Like you have this guy who looks like the guy that everybody wants just based on his credentials. And then he shits the bed when he gets the opportunity. Dan Quinn obviously didn't do that. And I think Kingsbury as OC, to me, is a big victory. And I think that's a two-part thing, too, because I think that they're going to go after Caleb Williams because that's who his OC was at USC. And, of course, Cliff Kingsbury's he was head coach for Patrick Mahomes, for Johnny Football. He turned Kyler Murray and put out his best stuff when he was head coach in Arizona. So this guy knows quarterbacks. And even if they don't end up with Williams and they get Drake May, you still have one of the best quarterback coaches in the world as your OC to bring your a rookie franchise quarterback in to start to turn things around. And that I think that goes a long way. So congratulations to the Redskins for finally looking like they're going in a direction that's going to be sustainable and is going to provide their fan base with something that resembles football again.
Yeah, that was going to be my question to you is this – so I've heard some rumors about Caleb Williams, murmurs that he might pull an Eli Manning if he doesn't like where he's being taken at. And that could have very well been the case with the Commanders if they tried to take him up at 2 or move up to 1. He might be good. New ownership, new coaching, new everything. But you slip Kingsbury in there, and that changes things, right? That's a little extra to make him feel more comfortable. I come in there, make him feel more comfortable about the prospects of him doing well, not getting thrown into the fire immediately, and just looking like don't. And not being his fault because the team's not prepared. But, that to me was the move. That's why I feel like the Commanders went for Kingsbury first and foremost. But I could be wrong. It could be, like you said, he's been a hell of a quarterback whisperer in college. But I will say that yeah, Pat Mahomes is Pat Mahomes, and but nobody else has really transferred to the NFL the way Patty has by any means out of that air raid offense. Not that they're trying to be in the NFL, but some of the quarterbacks, I don't. Mahomes obviously is the outlier, but some of those guys I wouldn't write home about him. So in the NFL,
this is the guy who recruited him out of college, got him to go to Texas Tech. Helped him work his game, and got him to be a number 1 draft pick into the NFL. Quarterbacks transferring, regardless of talent, at the college level into the NFL and being successful is rare. And he had, like Dan Marino, great players, great quarterbacks. They make coaches look good, oftentimes. But Kyler Murray came into the NFL, and Kyler Murray, who I thought immediately was going to be a bust, a la, Bryce Young. I just thought no chance, because he's too small. And Kingsbury got into the playoffs with that kid and sent that kid to the Pro Bowl almost every damn year. I mean, he was fantastic playing underneath Kingsbury in Arizona. And since Kingsbury's left, his game's gone to shit.
It's a fair point.
So I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is I think he's one of the better OCs in the NFL. That's it. He does a good job, and he knows how to run an offense. How it worked out in Arizona at the head coaching level, I don't know. Dan Quinn was obviously successful as a head coach. But you can also make the argument too that, like the way the defense played against the Green Bay Packers was like one of the dumbest things I ever saw in my life. Right. So that's why as a Washington fan, it concerns me a little bit. He's still going to have a defensive coordinator, and he's going to oversee the team because that's what head coaches do. Being a head coach is different than being the coordinator that became the head coach.
Joe Witt. Joe Witt, how do you feel about him?
Whom?
The new DC Joe Witt they just hired.
Oh yeah, he's great, and he's aggressive, and he's got a lot of pieces to work with. Our D line is still fine. We lost one huge piece of our defense, and Chase Young wasn't it. He's done hardly anything since he's gone. He had to San Francisco.
He's the one that got them all talking to because he's fucking loafing out there in the NFC Championship game, fucking slacking off, and you had to get a fucking nasty gram from the coach because you're not playing through the fucking whistle, you loafer. No wonder they sent your ass back. And I would be pissed if I was San Francisco and I broke you off that big ass contract and you're fucking loafing out there in the championship game.
Now, letting Montez go to Chicago was probably not a real good idea because he went there and went to the Pro Bowl anyway, right? He made their defense way better. As a matter of fact, after that trade happened, they had a winning record for the rest of the year.
You know me, I've always been a Montez guy.
He was fucking awesome, man.
Sweat's a monster, dude.
But we got capital out of him. And the problem that the Redskins, at Washington had, with all of these guys, because they had 4 legitimate guys all drafted in 2 different drafts. And all of them are now going into it's time to pay me contracts. They couldn't pay all 4 of those guys what the market was going to bear for them. They couldn't. It was impossible.
Right.
So they got rid of the guys whose contracts were coming up first. And then they got another year. They got a little bit of leeway to figure out the rest of it. Young needed to go anyway because, except for his rookie year, his defensive rookie of the year, he's been a loafing, lazy piece of shit the entire goddamn time.
Yep.
So he wasn't worth anything. Montez Sweat, though, is a legit Pro Bowl player, period.
Absolutely.
So that but again, he was gonna, given how good he is, we're talking he's gonna be asking Darnold and Jones money, right? Like he's there now, or damn close to it. And that's a lot of money to put out. So
Are you surprised by any of the other coaching moves, the lack of a move for Belichick?
I'm not surprised by Belichick at all. And I think, curiously, everybody acting like, and the talking heads, I mean, they're like the mainstream media for news. I mean, they're just reading the prompter and having a take on it. But Belichick's 72 years old. If he were to be hired, he would be the oldest coach ever hired. At 72 is fucking old, man, for it to be a head football coach.
And he demands to clean house and to bring in like 20 fucking people of his own. So you're bringing in a whole new staff in the front office essentially, and like and top down in the coaching area, in the coaching tree.
And he wants to be GM.
And so now you're displacing all these people in your organization. You're bringing all these new people, and in 2 years he may be out the fucking door anyway, taking his people with him probably, or at least you're going to want to be like, move along because we're bringing in a new. There would be utter turmoil for. The only way I could see that being a good option is for a team like the Commanders, who were starting from scratch, starting fresh, cleaning house. If there was a turnover like that, sure, that's maybe understandable. But I don't foresee one of those coming down the pike. And I think Belichick's done, dude. Don't you?
Oh, yeah. The only way that Belichick makes sense to me to even get a hire next year would be if you're bringing Belichick in to take over for a team that's already on the precipice of being able to make the Super Bowl. For me, if Belichick was going to get a job this year, it would have been in Dallas. That was my thought, because they're so close, and he is that defensive coordinator guy.
I agree, that's the perfect fit. But you and I both know fucking Jerry Jones.
His ego won't allow that to happen.
No alpha dog coming up in here and taking my spot.
That's right. And Jerry still can't seem to figure out that the problem that Dallas hasn't been to a Super Bowl in 30 fucking years is because of him. It's because of him. He's been the GM the whole time, ever since he got rid of Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson is the one. The reason that Dallas got so good and got so loaded with players, because Jimmy Johnson traded the only player they had, who was Herschel Walker, and got 9 fucking picks between picks and players, right? Yep. And without that, they never would have got Emmitt Smith, and they never would have got Michael Irvin. That's how they built that whole damn team.
True story.
And that was all Jimmy Johnson. And after he won back-to-back Super Bowls, Jerry Jones' ego couldn't take Jimmy Johnson getting the credit. Jimmy Johnson deserved the credit. He's the one who built the fucking team, and he's the one who coached them to win 2 back-to-back Super Bowls. So Jerry took over from there, and it's been a downhill slide ever since. Barry Switzer came in, and they won 1 more, but to be fair, Troy Aikman was the head coach of that goddamn team while he was the quarterback.
I thought possibly it would have been the Raiders, and that. But the only problem with the Raiders was going to be mutiny, because a lot of the players wanted Pierce back, because he's ingratiated himself well. He's a former player. He did a great job with him. I mean, I just don't think the
Raiders are close enough, right? Like, you need a team that can get to the Super Bowl and win it, and next year. Because even if Belichick signs somewhere, he's not coaching until he's fucking 80 years old. You got him for 3 years, and that's it.
Yeah, I'd give it the 2 year, 3 year,
right.
I wouldn't expect it.
That's why Dallas, to me, was the perfect fit, especially after McCarthy and that team shit the bed again.
If it wasn't for
Belichick's discipline alone would have made Dallas a far more dangerous team in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Just his presence alone makes them more dangerous, because you know what they wouldn't do? Shit the bed or quit.
Right.
They just wouldn't. Yep. Dak Prescott, we seen fucking Belichick yank some of the best players on earth out of a game because they were playing like shit. Fucking sit the bench, sit the fuck down.
He's like, we will lose just so your ass sits.
I mean, he's going to bench Brady, and he used to call Brady out in his own press conferences. He doesn't give a fuck, dude. Nope. So I thought it was a good fit. Jerry wants to get another Super Bowl before he's dead. Eat some ego, and he should have brought Belichick in, because Mike McCarthy is never taking you to a Super Bowl.
No.
Now, if you're asking me, do I think Dak Prescott has the skills to get you to a Super Bowl? That's pretty goddamn obvious.
But he needs a Belichick type guy.
He needs somebody who will grab him by the fucking throat and call him out in a press conference and say, hey, you know. Yep. But how many times Belichick, like if Tom Brady threw a couple of interceptions, Belichick will call him right out. Maybe if our quarterback paid a little closer attention to what the defense was doing, right? He had no fucks to give when it came to any of that because his sole job is to win championships, period.
Yep.
But that's the difference between Mike McCarthy being a player's coach and a head coach whose only design is to win championships.
Also, kudos to Brady. Brady didn't fucking bat an eyelash at that. He was like, bring it on. Coach me up. What you got? Bring me more.
Brady was the consummate professional as a quarterback. If that's the guy you want running your team as the face of your team, taking the back of his players. Pat Mahomes does it in Kansas City.
The lead by example guy every step of the way.
I think that Tom Brady,
I don't know that Dak is this. I don't know that Dak's built that way. I don't know that many guys these days are built that way.
Well, Dak Prescott on his best day, no matter what, will never be in Pat Mahomes or Tom Brady's league ever.
Well, I just mean even in like that headspace.
He doesn't have the killer instinct for it.
Nah, he's just a chill guy. I don't think he's ever going to like have that same fire.
Like Tony Romo, let's go hang 10, right? Like Tony Romo. Remember when Romo and Witten in their off week because they won the division, had home field advantage, and what did they do? They went to Mexico. Like Tom Brady and Pat Mahomes are studying film. They're not taking the week off like the rest of the players. That's not what championship quarterbacks do ever. And he did.
So Antonio Pierce of the Raiders, the team loves him.
They do.
I expect them to actually be better because of him. I think he's got a good vision. I think he handles the team well. I think they're hiring good coordinators under him.
Losing Kingsbury though hurts them because they were all in on that.
That hurts him bad. And think about it, dude. You think about who he's in the division with, and now he is a first-time head coach. Full-fledged, not interim or anything, against the three saltiest dogs.
Well, look, everything changes for every team in that division except for yours, because of Harbaugh.
I know, but Sean Payton, Harbaugh, Reed.
Payton doesn't have a quarterback. Harbaugh does.
True.
And Herbert was already an all-pro quarterback. Wait till you see what Harbaugh does with this.
Oh, dude, I'm scared. I'm worried.
Man. Like this guy, anybody with any football acumen knows that Herbert was a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Under Harbaugh, he's going to be a top 5.
The only thing he's been missing was that edge.
Yep.
Harbaugh's going to give him that edge. Harbaugh's going to sharpen him up a little bit.
And there's a lot of good wide receivers coming out in this draft too. They're going to add, I think they're going to cut bait with Keenan Allen. I think they're going to let him go because of injuries. He can't seem to stay healthy. He'll sign a big contract with somebody else anyway. I love Keenan Allen, but for the life of him, he can't stay healthy. They need to be able to maintain health with their players. And I think what's going to really change there with Harbaugh is their conditioning is going to be entirely different. And we're not going to see guys with injuries that normally don't affect a lot of teams all the time, because I don't think that they do such a great job in San Diego over the decades, even with conditioning. And I think Harbaugh is going to address that immediately and go, we're going to be in so good a condition that guys aren't going to go out with hamstring injuries for fucking a month and shit like that, right? He's going to have them different. And I think offensively, he's very aggressive. And I think they're going to be an exciting team to watch. Because he went to a Super Bowl with Colin Kaepernick, for God's sake.
Yep.
And now he's got this guy? Are you kidding me? Herbert is 1,000 times better than Kaepernick could ever hope to be.
It's not even close.
Kaepernick is an afterthought, and nobody would even care who he was other than he made it to a Super Bowl. All his other shenanigans, who cares about? But he was never that talented of a quarterback, ever.
He was just a big guy who could run.
Herbert
And
Ooh,
guess what? Herbert's a big guy too, and he can throw the ball fucking
through a
miles.
brick wall. Dude, that dude can launch a football, man. And he's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun to watch that football team. The difference is always going to be that you have Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, it's fair. So,
Pat
speaking of Pat
Mahomes,
Mahomes, should we talk about this Super
yes,
Bowl?
we should. And one more thing on Pat Mahomes.
Sure.
This is a guy who had the worst offense and offensive line of his entire career. And where the fuck are they going? To the Super Bowl. So,
well, the line's been good, but the lineup, yeah, I hear you, man. The fucking receiver room has been a problem all year until
I got to tell you what. One thing that I've noticed for sure is that aside from Kadarius Toney trying to walk back all the idiocy that he created, the truth is that guy was poison in that locker room, and I think it affected the whole team and the whole wide receiving core. And now that they fucking put him on IR and kept him away from everything, look how everybody is playing different and better. That one guy can create that much of a distraction, and if they don't cut him or trade him, they're crazy.
I think that they're going to suit him up for the Super Bowl. I think they're going to trot him out there for some jet sweeps and things of that nature. He may not even ever touch the ball, but they're going to shuffle him in and out, let him get a little bit of time. And then as soon as this season's done, wrapped up,
yeah, he's gone.
Off he goes. That little bit of time in and out of the Super Bowl will be enough to say, hey, we played him. You know, we weren't fraudulent. He wasn't ready before. He is now. Also, I think if he does get the ball and he does do something big, that's an Andy Reid fucking move all the way. Andy Reid loves second chances. Andy Reid loves, for a guy to fall on his face and then pick him up and get back out there, son. And that could be a pretty cool storyline. If this guy who's been a big problem all season, then all of a sudden shows up like MVS has, in the biggest moment. He still has the record for longest punt return in a Super Bowl last season. So, that could be he could return a punt. It's also going to be good to have him for depth. If Richie James can't return, he gets hurt, stuff like that. Blah, blah, blah. And we have problems with receivers as it is. I don't know, man. I'm scared. I hope they don't play Toney just because I'm going to be on pins and needles the whole time if he's even out on the field. But at the same time, like I get Andy Reid. I get the way he is, man. He's going to give these guys another chance. Not for another season, but now.
I think, he's definitely going to suit up. He was called into Andy's office, and Andy looked him in the eye and said, hey, if you have any intention on playing in this game and suiting up, even if we don't put you in the game, if you even want to suit up and be on that goddamn sideline, you're going to walk back all your stupid shit is what you're going to do. And then the next day, that's what he did. There's no way he decided to do that on his own. Got all the shit talking he was doing, and then he walks things back. So I think Andy told him, look, this is about team, and you're going to do the right thing for the team. Because he was out of line. He was way out of line with what he said. And by the way, him claiming he wasn't injured doesn't prove anything. The NFL's not doing an investigation because they don't believe anything's coming out of his mouth either. So Andy wasn't going to lose anything one way or the other. All I know is that the Chiefs, since they basically took him out, in the week 12 or 13 or whatever it was, the Chiefs have been a better football team, period.
Yeah, and he doesn't like that narrative.
No, I'm sure he does not. And this is a guy only in his third season. They ran him out on a rail in the Giants after his rookie season because of the bullshit in the locker room that he was creating. They're like, get the fuck out of here. And Andy's gonna have to do the same thing. They got to let him go.
We don't.
And now we're getting into some crazy, AJ Brown territory, the old Pittsburgh wide receiver who now is doing his own podcast thing and acting like everybody just misunderstood me. And dude, you were one of the craziest sons of bitches in NFL history. And now, because I guess he got his medication corrected or whatever, and now his head's on straight, and it seems like it is, right? But dude, we remember you were that dude was so crazy, he made Terrell Owens look like he was sane. That's how out of control that dude was.
And not even just on the field like that, off the field, throwing fucking furniture off a 20-story balcony at his wife and his girlfriend and shit. Like, dude's out of control. Definitely like mental health issues there. Yeah, I mean,
You see him and Ryan Clark get into it?
Yeah, I don't even
care.
care.
I love Ryan Clark. They were on the same
too.
team in Pittsburgh.
I'm just saying I don't care about AB, dude.
Right, but
Antonio
AB, Brown's talking about trying to fix up his image a little bit.
Sure.
I guess he's trying to do this now. And Ryan Clark was on a show with him and was having none of it. He was like, dude, are you crazy? And he started laying out all this crazy shit he did in Pittsburgh. Man, I was laughing so hard.
Dude,
like,
Tom fucking Brady did you the biggest solid of all time, brought you to the team,
in his bed,
got the team to pick you up, let you stay at his fucking house, mentored you, and then what did you do? You fucking walked off in the middle of a game and shit all over him. Like, fuck you and your reputation, Tom
right
Brady.
In Tom's bed, right? Tom Brady literally was putting his reputation on the line for AJ Brown, and that's exactly what he was doing.
Brown. Yeah,
Antonio Brown. Excuse me. Yeah. And so just shit all over that guy, man. Arguably one of the top quarterbacks in the history of the game with multiple rings already, and he goes out of his way for you, and you just shit all over him.
Selfish,
self-absorbed. That's why no team in the that guy couldn't have got hired in the NFL after that again, even if he played for free. Everybody would have been like, no. That's what I'm saying. He made Terrell Owens look like he was playing with a full deck.
Yep. So, well, as far as the Chiefs are concerned, and we can move over to the Niners after this, but there's going to be no Joe Thuney. Allegretti did a great job last time, though, so that should be fine.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about that.
And Jerick McKinnon's not going to be able to suit up like they thought he might be. He's been an outstanding red zone threat for the Chiefs the past couple seasons, but they'll figure it out. We get Willie Gay back. That's
huge. That's huge.
Solid piece of the linebacking core,
because not only Willie Gay is so huge because by himself he can negate Brock Purdy. What Brock did in the fourth quarter against Detroit will never happen. Gay will spy him out and blow him up.
Yep.
So it's a huge deal because Gay really can negate Brock Purdy's ability to stretch plays or to get first downs with his feet. And while Brock Purdy's not a game manager, people like to say that a lot. I was on the fence waiting for him to prove himself. He did it in the playoffs. You can't make the argument anymore that this guy can't win. I mean, yes, that ball should have been intercepted, but an amazing catch happened with Ayuk. It was a bad throw, generally speaking, but he still made some dime throws in that fourth quarter to ensure the victory, and his legs too. But if Gay just takes his legs away from him, that's a huge deal. A huge deal.
Well, yeah. If the Chiefs can get a
secondary matches up, I mean to interrupt you. I think your secondary is a little underrated in the NFL, and I think they match up really good with San Francisco. I think you guys have the advantage there, actually.
I think it's the best secondary in the league, and I think that Trent McDuffie is going to give Purdy trouble. He's going to be coming off that nickel corner spot. Mad rushes, dude. I bet he gets 2 sacks. And I also think that Chris Jones is going to finally get a Super Bowl sack. He's never had one. He's never even had a QB hit. He's never had a tip pass. He's never had any of the things Chris Jones for. Never been able to do them in a Super Bowl for some reason. So I think he's going to be hungry to do that. And I think the defense is going to be the star of the show once again for the season. So we talked about our predictions.
Yep. So defensively, I think how you guys handle Christian McCaffrey is probably the biggest deal. How can you counter what you're not going to just stop this guy cold. I think for overall as a game plan, I think Kansas City needs to, like they did in the AFC Championship, they need to control the clock. They just need to keep him off the field as much as possible.
One thing that hurts us is losing a Minihue. That torn ACL, he's a great edge rusher. He missed the first 6 games of the season on a suspension and still managed to pull 6 or 7 sacks this season. And he was the one that knocked the ball out of Lamar's hands 2 weeks ago. He's been a pretty big impact. So that's going to be a tough loss for him on that edge. But the rookie, man, Felix Anadike-Uzama, our first round draft pick from this season. Hey, man, time to step up. Let's do this.
Let's see what he can do. McCaffrey, it just need to minimize his touches. When you have a player like that, it's about the best that you're ever going to be able to do. He can't get his hands on the ball 25 times in the game. He just can't.
I think we got some good safeties and some good linebackers that we should be able to take care of McCaffrey. He's still going to get his. He's going to get a number of yards. He's probably going to get a touchdown or two. He is who he is. He was on the board as one of the contenders for MVP for a reason. So, he's going to get some, but it's just a matter of whether or not you give him too many. And again, I think that the best way the Chiefs can here's what the way the Chiefs beat the 49ers: get an early lead and keep pressure on Purdy. That's it. That's all it takes. Get an early lead, keep pressure on Purdy. That's been the way that the Niners have lost every time they've lost this season. Every time they lost with Purdy, it's been that recipe. Put him behind, make him try to throw from behind, and keep a lot of pressure on him. That's the way you beat him.
Yes, and that's exactly what the Lions did and failed to do in the second half, because the Lions stopped running the ball themselves. I'm never going to understand that ever. But it's almost exactly what Dan Quinn did in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. I mean, they were dominant in the first half with their running game, and then they didn't run the ball in the second half. Why? So I think that Purdy probably is, confident wise, he's going to be feeling really good, because they came back from 17 points, and it's the largest comeback in NFC Championship history to come back from in the second half. So I think confident wise, they're going to be on it. I just think at the end of the day that you're not going to outperform Patrick Mahomes. He's always best on the biggest stage. And again, it's not just the statistic line. It's how he manages the game. He never takes a sack. He doesn't run out of bounds. He keeps the clock moving. He doesn't make poor plays. He doesn't turn the ball over. It's just amazing what this guy does when the more pressure is on him, the overall better player and quarterback at position, at the general of the offense.
Yeah.
Not the stat better line. And better. The stat line means nothing.
Fuck it. He wants that dub, baby.
I've been saying that forever, man.
That's right.
We spend a little too much time on statistics, and victories are all that matter. And the proof of that, just look at what Dak Prescott did. Again, he always does this. He puts up these spectacular numbers and then shits the bed when it matters. So who cares about your spectacular numbers if you can't win when it matters? And nobody's better at that than Patrick Mahomes.
Let me say one last thing about Patty, and we'll use this as a segue to talk about the Niners. But so they're 2.5 point underdogs, in Vegas. Now they, you got the 49ers. The 49ers fans showed out to opening week here because, it's a 5-hour drive or something from San Fran to Vegas. So they're out there in full effect, and they're booing the shit out of Patrick Mahomes when he's up there, and he's just like, yes. Ooh, yeah, give me some more, baby. And I'm just like, man, y'all just keep poking that bear. Bring it. Come on, baby. Keep it going. So you get that, just a little more fucking bulletin board material, right? And then you get, doing the same thing to Kelsey and everything. And you got Bosa, talking about, well, they hold a lot, and then here's what I'm going to say. Sounds like a lot of pre-excuses to me. You hear about the practice field is too soft, and we don't like the conditions of the practice field. The new grass you put down is way too soft. I'm sorry, Niners, you sound too soft. So, like all these pre-excuses, man, I'm not digging that shit. Right? You're already trying to make excuses for the fact that you might not win this game. Meanwhile, the Chiefs are just like, we're just shutting the fuck up. Let y'all keep running your mouth. So anyway. Let that be a transition to talking about the Niners. I'm talking a little shit here, but the Niners are like fucking fully healthy. They're not missing anybody but Hufanga, maybe. Everybody's on deck, dude.
So look, San Francisco's a goddamn good football team. There's no two ways about that. Offensively, their firepower is through the roof. But so San Francisco to win, they need to stay on the field. They need to be able to get Kansas City off the field and make sure that their offense gets the ball back. Because the more that you can get the ball into McCaffrey's hands, the more likelihood that you're going to win. If Christian McCaffrey touches that football 22 to 25 times, they're going to win the game. Because the only reason he's getting that much is because they're on the field enough for him time-wise to be able to get that many catches and rushes in combination. And because he's being very effective.
Or it's close game, or they're a little bit ahead and they're just pounding on the rock.
I expect this game to be a touchdown or less. But I called it, that I think Kansas City will win by 7, 27-20. But that means that they have to minimize McCaffrey because you still have so much. You got Ayuk, you got Deebo Samuels, you have Kittle. They're loaded. But the real key is McCaffrey. If McCaffrey can uncork, if McCaffrey rushes for 100 yards or in combination has a 150-yard day and a couple of touchdowns, San Francisco is going to win. That's the guy for San Francisco to make things happen. Defensively, San Francisco has to stop if they want to win. The other side of it, it's still the running game. They have to keep Angry Boy off the field, or at least they need to bottle him up. And not just dish out punishment to them all day, because the one weak spot that we have seen, especially in the playoffs, when teams effectively run on San Francisco's defense, they're in a lot of trouble. Right. And you have a running back who dishes out punishment for 3-yard runs, and hurts people. And if they can establish a ground game where Pacheco gets touches at 20 plus and gets over 100 yards, Kansas City wins. And so both teams need to control the clock and establish the running game. And I just think that it's easier for Kansas City to establish that than it is for San Francisco against Kansas City's defense, because Kansas City's linebackers and especially their interior defensive linemen are just better than what they have on the other side, especially with Chris Jones. Chris Jones, you can make the argument that he's currently, at least through this season, the best D tackle in football, period.
Yep.
So that's where I'm at with that. I'm not saying that San Francisco doesn't have the firepower to win this game.
Oh, they definitely could win. Yeah.
But I'm looking at all the intangibles, and the biggest intangible of all. So if you went down wide receivers, I would give the edge to San Francisco. Mm-hmm. Tight ends, depends on what you mean by tight end. Kittle is a classic tight end, and he's probably the best in the league at being a classic tight end. That's not what Kelsey does. So they're two different animals. So we'll call those even because of the way that they're used is different too. So we're even there. Running backs, I'll give McCaffrey the edge there. But then that leaves one big offensive category, and that's quarterback, and that's not a close call.
I think we got him beat on the O-line too.
Oh yeah. The lines, your lines played extremely well this year. Your line's good at protecting your quarterback and being disciplined and not drifting down the field when Pat's extending plays.
Right.
But when it comes to quickness and running traps and getting McAfee space, they're better at that.
Running game better. Yep. True story.
Defensively, you guys are better against the run than they are. And I believe your secondary is better than their secondary. But your wide receiving course isn't going to stretch their secondary. So to me, all those kinds of things are even. What it really comes down to is the running game and the quarterbacks. McCaffrey's the better running back. If he can establish, that's a problem. But the biggest intangible to me is quarterback. Nothing against Brock Purdy. What he has done in a little over a year's worth of starts has been just remarkable. Remarkable if he, fuck Mr. Irrelevant. Any first round doesn't matter. Most guys never get here. So right. Hats off to him. And he's going to continue to prove himself down the road. There's some kind of chip on Pat's shoulder this year more than I've seen before. That guy will die on that football field to win this game. And I just think that's the difference.
Yeah, agreed. So, all right. Well, if you got anything else to add?
I do not. I am so psyched for this Super Bowl this week because, again, we're just in an era where Super Bowls are relevant. You know, I mean, I was growing up in a time in the 70s and then especially the 80s and the 90s where Super Bowls were usually won by a team by 20 points or more, right? The Super Bowl was the letdown. It was the championship games that matter. But, you know, we've had some really good Super Bowls. Last year's was spectacular. I expect this year's to be every bit as good.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Close game, really exciting.
Yep.
Lots of big plays and stuff like that. So, all right, folks, thanks for tuning in. And we will wrap up again on the other side of the Super Bowl, let you know what we thought about that. And then we'll be making our transition into more current events in the greater, broader world. So with that, folks, have a wonderful day, and we will see you soon. Peace out.